No, it's good. 1250. Why can't I find it?
Who am I looking
I'm Bob.
at? Bob,
I'm your A, number one talker.
okay.
He's just my secretary.
And it's listed under Synergy Homes.
Yes, sir.
You are,
Here we go.
you're the owner. We have some administrative to go through. I'll go through the script. I'll have a few questions along the way.
Okay.
Opening the hearing on
Okay.
case ID 2021-1250, account 32683. This hearing is being recorded. Robert?
Q1.
Q1.
Yes.
Oh, got it right?
Oh, okay, yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. We are the appraisal review board that will be hearing your protests today. We do not work for the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of your protest. We're the appraisal review board. Ray represents the appraisal district. At the end of the hearing, you may complete a survey regarding your experience. The survey may be completed using the survey form and emailed to pcad.communications@cpa.texas.gov or online at surveymonkey.com/r/surveyarb. The survey is voluntary. You also have the right to appeal our decision. Appeal information will be provided to you with our determination. At the end of the hearing, a document will be created with our determination. It also includes information about how you can appeal if you don't agree with us. In accordance with tax code section 4145H, all written materials that have not been provided must be provided at this time. This is important. We have all your evidence.
Yes.
Okay. The ARB members who are considering the protest have not communicated with anyone about the protest and are signing an affidavit to that effect. I, Charles Powers, do solemnly swear I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66.
I, Robert Dayton, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F.
I, Captain Hoffman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with a person in violation of tax code 41.66.
I, Bill Duck, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F.
I, Scott Wagner, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F.
All testimony from all witnesses must be given under oath. Repeat.
I, Robert Jammer, do affirm that testimony I shall present to the appraisal review board is true and correct.
I, Matthew Dysart, do affirm that the testimony I shall present to the appraisal review board is true and correct.
I, Rick Wesley, do solemnly swear that the testimony I shall present to the appraisal review board is correct.
Do either of you gentlemen have an appraiser's license in the state of Texas?
No.
No.
There's a sheet of paper. Maybe. This is the procedure that we're going to follow. And you get to choose whether you go first or whether the district goes first. Okay, right? You're up. 5 minutes.
Jackie, you go, you go real quick. So we're doing hearings on this guy right here, right? 3683. And then we've got a hearing after this on this one and this one. Is that right? That's right. Okay, that's it. Will you bring up packs real quick?
Just an empty packs or this?
Well, I mean, I want to look at 32683. Just real quick at it. Go to the land. And open that up. Okay, hold on, go. Someone else? All three of these lots are the same size?
Yes.
What's 0.0705 times 3?
0.2115.
Point 2115.
Then go back to the market value screen. That one right there. And hit recalculate. What do we notice you're at? 15 each.
15.
Oh.
15,360. Is that right? 15,360.
Yeah.
Does that number,
Oh,
Robert, does that number seem any better?
Uh,
Or is that still right?
it's,
Keep going.
let's just walk through it.
All right, back out of that. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to go through the whole thing. Did you back out of it, Jack?
no, not yet. Hold on.
All right, let me go into the evidential quickly. Under protest is market value Q1. This property is located out the back door to the left, right behind the city yard. It's right there, directly behind the city yard. And we've seen it, it's 3 lots. They're pretty small lots. They are 3,000 square feet. So we're gonna look at some sales. All right, so 4,000 square feet sold on Pursuit for 39,600. 8,000 square feet sold on Gagon for 31,500. And next comp, Dowdy, 8,000 square feet, 44,000. The median indicated value is 541, and we have $5 on such property. So all 3 of those sales are behind here and a little bit. One was on Gagon, and then the other one was on Dowdy, and one was on Kasuth, which is like maybe 5 or 6 blocks to the left. That's it.
Okay. You have 2 minutes for cross-examination and then 5 minutes for your presentation.
So this is, I have information based on what you all mailed me. This is called, I guess, a sales ratio report. All right, so on the sales ratio report, I guess page 5, page 8, and page 9 are comparable properties, very close and on Gagnon Street. And those properties, after the sale and conversion, are 9,750. And this is the information you guys gave me: 8,500, 8,812. So based on the information you gave me, 3 comparables that are all in the price range of what I paid. So the first one I'm referring to is 811 Gagnon, which would be your page 8. It'd be the top one. Yes. So how I figured this, so this particular one here is $8,812. So how I came to that determination was, you'll see the size of the lots, they're 128 by 128. So that's actually 4 lots. That's 4 lots based on everything that I purchased here in Rockport. There's newer lots that are 32 by 128. So that's a standard lot, 32 by 128. So this is 4 lots right here. So what I did is I took the 47, divided it by 4. Then my particular lot is smaller. It's not 128 feet, it's 96 feet. So that's 75%. So then I took the number, which was 11,750, multiplied by 75%, and it came out with 8,812. So that's what I did for all 3 properties that I came up with, they're around about the same price. They were between $8,000 and $9,000 per lot. So what you're looking at here is, the first one is for Juan. So Juan is to the left of this property. So he's gonna do some construction, and I think he's gonna end up tearing down his house. So we made him an offer to buy this lot, because we were talking verbally. So this is based on that conversation. I never heard anything back from him.
He refused.
Did you come back to you? All right. Well, the next letter is to the woman to the right of the property. There's a infringement, there's a encroachment on our property. So in order to alleviate that, I offered to sell her that lot. I never heard anything back from her. So I made two offers to sell the lots at 15,000. I had no response. Yeah, well, refusal on one, no response on the other. And I have HUD statement, and HUD statement shows that I paid 25,000. Is this your rebuttal right now? Or is this your, well, it's cool. Just wanted to go.
Yeah, within one fiscal year. Today, we purchased all 3 lots for 25,000. So the market value, which is what the appraised should be going on, was $8,666 per lot within 1 year. And that property sat for sale for about 3 years with no takers. It wasn't like we just purchased it from a guy someone in City Town who left and needed some cash. It was for sale. That particular property was for sale for 3 years on the market sitting there. And while we were building down the road, we just finished up the house. He walked into our house and he was across the street and asked us if we wanted to purchase it. And we were, open to it, and we came up with that price. So that was actually the price he had it for sale for 3 years. And we said, okay, we'll just go to do it. Because we were finishing up and we needed the property to, go ahead and start building another spec home. So the market value was, I guess, a year from this month of last year at 25,000 for 3 lots. So $8,666 per lot.
That was an open market sale.
Yes. It was a FISBO. The for sale sign was on the lots for 3 years. Actually, if you go to Google, you'll see the for sale sign on Google Maps. And I did offer the lot to the gentleman to the left, and he laughed at me. We have a good relationship. He's an older gentleman that walks over and sees what we're doing. And we'll talk with us when we're out there. He just one, and he just kind of chuckled and laughed. Said, "No, I'm not going to pay that kind of money for that." And then we even offered to split the lot, try to get it divided so each person could have half. And at 7,000 a lot. So we went below the 15,000, and they still refused because the house on the right has an encroachment on our property. They built a laundry room that actually goes past their setback and onto our property line. We just had it appraised by rendering it, and it's about 1.5 to 2 feet over the property line. So we wanted to cut off that problem. So we were trying to figure out ways we could mitigate these problems and alleviate it. We don't want to cause problems for any neighbors. But we rebuffed at our efforts to try to help them out. We offered it half a lot at 7,000, and we refused. We put it at 7 because we were going to incur all the paperwork costs to do it at the same time. And to have it replatted, we could get the county and city to do that. And then we were going to build on the 2 acre lots once we've done that. But we got to do that.
Okay, anything else? About out of time.
Looking at the comparables around, in the area and what we pay for it, and, within a year from today, I think it was June of last year, the HUD speaking. Appreciate it for your time. Thank you.
Ray, you've got 2 minutes for cross-examination and 2 minutes for rebuttal.
I've got some questions.
Sure.
All right. Are you guys builders?
We do build, but I work for the phone company.
Are y'all building?
Yes.
Are y'all building the rectangle houses that are about 800 square feet or so? There's some on Moline, I think.
I just did one on No Street.
No ball, whatever.
No problem.
So y'all are building those,
1,000.
yeah, or maybe even a little bit less. They got a porch on the front, they're on a small lot,
Yes.
that kind of thing. I think
Yeah,
there's about 3
yeah.
or 4 of them.
The same size lot.
That's y'all doing that.
Yeah.
That y'all are doing that. So y'all are building those houses and then renting them and then selling them, or just selling them?
Sell it straight.
Selling them straight out.
We just sold the one on Moline and
There's one that was on Litron, that was done a couple years ago.
You guys are a pain in our backside.
How is that?
Well,
How
we've
is
had
it?
everyone in that area come up to us thanking us.
Now, right, it's part of the revitalization, I get it. In my neighborhood too, like that. Recently, a guy built 2 houses, and there hasn't been a new house built there in maybe 20 years. So it's the same thing, I get it. There's a certain, we appreciate, yeah, I mean, paint in our backside here. You're just selling those.
I hope that's a
houses.
good much money.
Anyways, it is, yes.
A couple of questions that I have, I'm gonna guess, there's no limitations there, meaning you have city sewer. Well, there's no space for a septic. Right?
Yes, that is correct. And we just drove by before we came over here, and they're doing the surveys to connect the sewer. Now, that's another whole situation that we have to talk about.
So, a couple of things, the sales ratio report that we gave you are not comps specifically. The sales ratio report is a region, where we just like to give people, this is what's going on in your general area. The statement that market value is what someone paid for it in a year. That depends. If someone pays high, then we think the market value is what they paid for it. If someone bought low,
Sure.
we're gonna argue.
It's subjective.
But the truth of it is market value is best understood. If this was there's a straight line on the graph, the sales should be all over the place, but we should be able to group them and then cast out the outliers. And with some humility say, market value is somewhere in this area, right in here. It's not down here and it's definitely not up here. So that's the reason why there's so much room for opinion. So like today, for example, if you say the lot's worth 8,000 and I say the lot's worth 12,000, okay, like whatever is kind of where I end up with that conversation. I was kind of end up fine. The market would say that there's hardly any land in Aransas County anywhere that's worth $8,000 that has a road. That's what the market would say. Like, there's almost nothing like that in this county. Like, even the crummy stuff at Holiday Beach is starting to get close to that number. And you have the subject. I have difficulty agreeing with you that that's an $8,000 lot. You'll have some time.
Sure.
The other thing is if you take a sale of 16,000 square feet, that was purchased differently at a different price per square foot than a smaller piece of land was. So when you take that 16,000 square feet and you divide that number by 4 and you multiply it times 0.75, you're arriving at a number, but you may not be arriving at value with Transact at a smaller square footage lot, which would be valued at more. Do I keep going? Do I have like another 2 minutes?
No, that was your
That's
report.
it.
Okay, now you have 2 minutes.
Yeah, and the main issue we have is, well, these lots are, as you said, what's the one on your side of the problem for you is they're not conventional size lots. These are undersized, they're small. They have extreme limitations to what can be built on it. So you cannot extrapolate. If we take this and then say, okay, per square footage to larger lots, this is what the value is, because these lots, they were originally, from what I understand, were made for, designed for mobile homes. And then they got grandfathered into where we can build on them. So they have an extremely limited way, use of what can be built on, because we have a 25-foot setback in the front and a 20-foot in the back. So that cuts 45 more feet out. So we're limited to exactly a small footprint of what can be built. And, we're engineering those to the best we can to, help bring up the community. And I think we did that on the house down the road, with all the neighbors, everyone, 100% positive feedback. But to take a small lot and then say, okay, per square foot compared to a larger lot, it doesn't, you can't, that's apples and oranges. You cannot, those are not comparable to each other. And the market value is the market value, and that's what it's paid for. What is buying? I do have that's not suspended, I just let it go, a real estate license. So I have a little bit of knowledge on this issue, but these lots are very, very limited in scope of what we can build on. We don't have to build something nicer.
So this one was part of your plan here. This lot right here, 16776, is on this sheet. This is 4 lots. Right. So that broken down was the $8,812 per lot. So I mean that's pretty close. This one sold too. One that's right next. So this one also is in the same category.
Okay.
But I don't have that information because I thought it was on your list. It wasn't. But that's the same situation. So that's a 2-lot deal. I think those lots are maybe 9,000 or 10,000 based on the price that I found. So to me, this is.
Okay, I need to catch up, sorry.
Sure.
So Ray, you got 1 minute to talk.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick here. So it's not complicated, it's just annoying. The 4 lots, 2 lots, 3 lots, 1 lot. This lot right here has a comp. This lot has, it's got depth, it only has access here, although maybe there's access back here as well.
It won't.
That's okay.
Sorry, it's gonna be calculated.
Yeah, so it ends up on this dirt road. So, what would someone pay extra for having road access to a small lot? All that I would say is, what can someone do with a small piece of land over there that's about 3,000 square feet? There's a couple of guys building houses on it and selling, that kind of thing. Someone's going to, the appraisal district will stick with its opinion that value should be 12,000 something based on the effective size, not 15,000. And so what we do, we disagree with people, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay, you have now 1 minute to close. Final thoughts?
Well, I'll bring your attention back over to here. These 2 right here, we built those. And this was literally a dump site for the neighborhood. And we pulled out 15, 20 trailers of trash out of there after we had a professional take it all out. So, everyone around here, I know this owner, this is the one that sold us these lots over here. John. But we're taking underdeveloped land that is actually becoming a detriment. It's a problem area, and we're actually creating a tax base for the county. We created that in tax base. This one was built or was purchased by a retirement couple out of Victoria. They still live there, but now they're coming here on the weekends, and then they're going to retire here in a few years. This one we built right before the hurricane.
Yeah, sorry, I gotta catch you off.
So I just kind of give you a reference of what we're
It's our time. Right. Well, we're gonna change.
It was 12,900.
12.9,
It was 12,900.
because that gets them a discount then for economy of scale.
Yeah.
Basically. That's what we did.
I was checking the box.
For all three.
For all three.
Combined.
No, each.
Mm-mm.
That's a 20+% discount. Current rate value.
Right.
They're under testimony. Attempted to sell the properties over the last year. And 1,000.
Yeah.
I don't know about 12,000. Haven't been able to purchase things. That's what the market value is.
Yeah.
Something $8,600. That's the market value.
It was June last year.
And so,
That's 15. But not 12.
Were those lots turned down in any amount or just? Well, we said to make an offer. Didn't we make an offer?
and you offered to carry that out.
Yes, and then we offered it at 7, so 14, we went down to 14, 7, and to split it in half, plus we would pay all the fees.
No thanks.
I'm good with 12 now.
Yeah. I would agree. Yeah, 10.
Okay.
Good with 10. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion now on case ID 2021-1250, property ID 3263. When considering incorrect appraised market value, that we lower the 2021 appraised value $15,360 down to $10,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one is 1251.
Didn't even see her lips move, huh?
No.
The other
Same
one,
thing.
the same thing. Right?
Oh,
We'll just, yeah. Okay. Jackie, can you pronounce that on the other two?
The 10, yeah.
And just make a motion to, well, I guess you already.
No, we don't need to- we just-
You understand what we just did? Yes.
You want them to come up to the front and sign up there, Ray, or?
That's where the printer is, right?
Yeah. You
So
want them to
Jackie,
come
you'll
up to the
print
front?
it.
Thank you for your time.
Yes. Have a great day.
Voting, be sure that we don't start using the land tables. So just thought to affect other similar properties on that land table. I don't know what that
Sorry, my computer's frozen.
does to their system.
We just-
Maybe that's not.
Consideration.
Yeah, but
Beth was gonna see if we had anything else. She said it might be an applicant.
Yeah, let's
So
make- let's make-
1822 didn't show up.
No, that's not easy.
It was 50, not 100. Yeah, they built a single wide. Don't make single wide. That's what they were designed for. Just bring in single wides or RVs, but you can't do that. Rockport at all. And
Chris Loudon,
He's in the city limits or he's
no?
still in the city.
Yeah, we didn't have done that. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't think
No.
that's. I think it's not.
That was it for our 1:30.
Okay.
But we do have some letters.
Okay.
It's not-
Keep
but
those
not
cards and
now.
letters coming.
Hey, the Wildman was the one that didn't show.
Uh,
The other one should be back there too, then.
I got Val up there doing it. I told her there's 2 of them.
So are these letters,
Letters, yeah, asking for a reschedule or.
Are they loaded on the system?
There should be, if they're not popped up, go out and come back in. So did, yeah.
Be like, leave the room.
He's still. He's still. Lynn. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on one second.
Tony Legger. Them on suburban. Yeah, suburban and.
You want to read the first one?
Let's do this. Okay, so the first one is a letter, postmark 21st of June. It's marked received in this office the 23rd of June, which is today. Okay. Says Aransas County Review Board, due to unforeseen circumstances, we missed the deadline for the appraisal review board. Major medical issues and COVID-related quarantine kept my family under the gun for several months. May we please schedule a review with the appraisal board, seemingly for these a number of property, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11 properties. Signed Michael Manjaras. There's a phone number and an address in Portland, Texas.
So did he have a date scheduled?
It doesn't appear that way. It appears that this letter. Yeah, I mean, he woke up a month late. Ooh, missed the date by a month.
Try it again.
And
Yeah, it's there.
there's no protest form?
No, there's no protest form. There's seemingly these have never been scheduled.
Do you want us to check one of the?
Yes, if you would, please.
What is the account?
How about 64762?
Is it on the agree?
Yep, no, and I agree. No protest.
Okay, so they've never filled out a protest.
Not this year, no.
Let's just check one more. How about 64763?
Account's been deleted. Another one?
Okay, how about 64766?
Again.
So-
These
So
were,
Mr. Manjares, go back to one of the deleted accounts. Mr. Manjares did a merge on a lot of stuff. Right here, check this out. I mean,
Split.
Split merge.
Merge right
merged
there.
property in March. So all of those,
You kind of indicated two that might have been moved, these others.
yeah, I'm not sure. He
It's not
merged,
worth belaboring, but-
he merged a lot of properties together into one unit.
But in any cases, protest reasons or medical issues are kind of vague.
Yeah, but they still could have requested a date.
Oh, right.
I don't think it's fine.
Right. I agree. Give this one. Yeah. Okay. So, we'll make a motion or not?
Sure, you read it.
Okay, all right. So I'll make a motion on properties owned by Mr. Michael Jarvis.
including properties 64, 761, 762, 757, 774, 776, 775, 763, 764, 66, 65, and 67, that we not grant him a hearing because he's shown no good cause.
Favor?
Aye. Okay, the second one is dated June 15th. It was mailed June 21st and received in this office today, the 23rd. Mr. Jacob Nunley, in Rockport, Texas. Concerns property ID 60293, Deer Appraisal Review Board. Unfortunately, I had to miss my appraisal protest hearing this morning due to illness that came up overnight. I contacted your office promptly this morning, would have been the morning of June 15th, but was informed to write a letter to request a new hearing. I believe I have food poisoning, but it could be something else, so it might be best to wait until next week to come in. I'm available any day, anytime you have available this month. Please accept this letter of apology for having to reschedule for these circumstances and grant a new hearing date at your earliest convenience. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact me by email or phone. Sincerely, Jacob.
Question.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Give that one to him. Okay. So I move then for property ID 60293 belonging to Mr. Jacob Nunley, that we grant him another hearing for good cause.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's 3 o'clock.
Lights on or off? Wanna take a nap?
Phyllis? Kindergarten.
Our next docket is until 3 o'clock.
And yes, I was just wondering what you would do if I brought my property where my house is. I'm 250 foot by 300. Which pretty good size property is.
Really?
Giant drive. Yeah, Ray, I don't think I'll be protesting anytime soon.
It's so ironic when we have out of 2,000 protests, we randomly have 2 protests. Like the protest this afternoon was completely relevant. One of the protests this morning, by like 50 people. And that's just really strange. You
Say
know?
that one more time.
And we had these guys that were building the homes of the ones
That protested.
I know, I was sitting here thinking, I can't believe you guys are sitting here. We were talking about Tom this morning. It's completely random.
They sold that house on the corner for over
I know,
$200,000.
isn't that idea? It's just so weird. We were talking about it this morning. It's such a weird, thing. And I guess that was the guy that used to have the gymnastics.
The gym,
class,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Well, they're building out. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird around here. But probably. I don't know what prices are. Well, a lot of times
Today.
they're super.
175, 200.
Yeah.
Maybe. I have to say that. Some of the complaints that people have about these neighborhoods, it's eliminated.
That's the
Expensive.
that's the revitalization. You're right. It's hard to say it. It's the, things start to change. People start to come in and.
Wrong room to say it in, but
Oh, this.
I'm completely opposed to all actions. All situations.
That
being said-
Neighborhood.
Drew it online.
Let me double check and make sure these other ones.
How about 385, because it looks like just a lot.
64918. That one has an active protest. And then
Hey, when somebody shows up, I'm gonna do it.
22385 has been withdrawn also online.
Oh, I thought there was only one.
It's the only middle one,
Okay.
64918.
All right, let's try this one more time. 1298. They just had one, they withdrew the others.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
No, they already withdrew it online. Should be Patricia Bird.
Okay. Patricia, this is Charlie Powers at the Appraisal Review Board. How are you today?
I am good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. We have some administrivia to go through before we get to the meat of the matter. If you could just follow along with me, I'll have some questions along toward the end.
Okay.
We're opening a hearing on case 2021-1298, account number 64918. This hearing is being recorded. Robert?
It's Q1 and Q2.
You that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We are the Appraisal Review Board that will be hearing your protests today. We do not work for the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of your protest. The Comptroller's Office provides an electronic survey for you to offer feedback about your experience today that may be accessed at the Appraisal District Office or online at surveymonkey.com/r/surveyarb. The survey is voluntary. You also have the right to appeal our decision. Appeal information will be provided to you with our determination. In accordance with Tax Code Section 4145H, all written material that has not been provided must be provided at this time. Do we have all your evidence?
Yes, sir.
Very good, thank you. The ARB members who are considering the protest that have not communicated with anyone about the protest and are signing affidavits to that effect. I, Charles Powers, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Robert Dayton, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Captain Hoffman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66.
I, Bill Duck, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Scott Wagner, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
All testimony from all witnesses must be given under oath. Ma'am?
Yes.
Patricia?
Yes.
I'm assuming that you're under oath for the duration of this hearing as a result of you signing the affidavit.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I requested to solemnly swear from the testimony that present the appraisal we will do as the appraisal district is true.
Patricia, do you have a license as an appraiser in the state of Texas?
No, I do not.
Okay. Would you have available to you the hearing procedure times chart that came with your packet?
Yes.
Excellent. That's how we're going to proceed through the hearing. You get to choose whether you go first or the district goes first.
I guess I will go first.
Okay, you have 5 minutes to state your case.
Okay. My argument is going to be under the equal and uniform. And I selected 4 comparable properties within a forestry area. My focus was on the year built. Analyzed properties and found a range of 1 year older to 4 years newer. Size. Also, I did not select any properties less than 1,000 square feet. However, in my analysis, I concluded slightly larger comparables of 1,500 square feet to illustrate how overvalued our home is. If you will look at the Excel spreadsheet I uploaded, based on the numbers, looking at what I have, my home being the subject, and each of the comps at 305, 1, 8569, 364, and 226. I was able to conclude a median value of 172.85 for improvements, which would give me a value of 217,786. And if you add in the land value of 11,500, my value is going to be 229.86. The median price per square foot on homes, on those 4 homes, was $182 a square foot. Mine is at 207.51. So that is what I am basing my protest on today.
Okay,
All right. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, you'll have more time later.
Okay.
Okay, Ray, then you have 2 minutes for cross-examination and 5 minutes for your presentation.
Patricia, can you hear me okay?
Kind of. You're a little.
Okay, that's all right. I'll move. Help me understand just on the spreadsheet here that you did, just like you took the improvement, now you took the market value of a comp, subtracted the land, then divided the improvement by the square footage to get a square footage value?
Yes.
So you didn't do anything with carports or garages or storages or anything like that, right?
No. No.
What about depreciation? Did you calculate any kind of depreciation?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right, we'll go to the we'll go to the district's evidence. So we have a value of
49.
well, plus the land.
Oh, 261.
So we have a value of 261 on a house that is on a dry lot in Holiday Beach, built in 2006, sold in, or purchased in 2018. Nothing too crazy going on here. It's a 5FB. Looks like a pretty nice house. Okay, let's see what the comps are. Do we have dry comps? That's the question. Yes. So we have 305 West Live Oak, sold for $240 in November of 2020. It's nearly the same house, I guess. You know, it's a 5FB. It's 1,200 square feet. It doesn't have one of the porches, and it doesn't have one of the under storage. So there's some adjustments out to that to 259. Then there's a sale on Palmetto Point, also on a dry lot, 5FB, 1,000 square feet. It's missing a few things in the comparison. Says value is 262. And then another dry lot sale for 222, 4FB plus, 1,000 square feet, adjust out to 262. So it gives you a median value of 262. Equity comes out to 262. Super uniform here. Yeah, these houses are real similar. They're fives. They're about the same square footage. The lot values are pretty close. There's just very little adjustment in here. So our opinion of value is 262. either way, either grid. That's it.
Okay. All right, Patricia, you have then 2 minutes for cross-examination and 2 minutes for rebuttal.
I will just do my rebuttal.
Okay.
And I will use the 305 West Live Oak property. This house is just down the road from me. It's on the same road. It is a similar size, similar year, and it sold for, as he said, $244,000. That house is almost $10 a square foot less on tax than mine is. And so I feel like they're adjusting sales upwards than the actual sale price, and assess the value to improve and support an increase to our property rather than utilizing the actual sales price to appropriately value our property. And also, they only provided 3 comparable properties, 2 of which are older, and this gives a smaller range for comps in the area, when we were able to find 6 that were more accurately comparable to our property and support the median price per square foot of $172.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Okay. All right, then Ray, you've got 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Yeah, Patricia, what did you mean that we're adjusting the cells upwards?
Because it looks like to me that it's like we refinanced our house in November of 2020. The value of our home at that point was $230,000.
Okay.
Which is what they based the refinancing on. So that's where I came up with the $230,000 value of the home. And then if you look at these comps, the 6 comps that I have listed, that all supports that $230,000 tax value.
The comps you have listed for equity.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure you weren't implying that we're adjusting sell prices up in order to create higher values. That would be a pretty sinister accusation of us. So I just wanted to make sure that wasn't what you were saying. That would be crazy and illegal and like would just be, hard for me to wrap my mind around it, an appraisal district doing something like that. I haven't seen your refinance appraisal. I haven't. I'll tell you this, that I haven't seen very many refinance appraisals that I thought were very good. They have a different purpose, and they're usually sometimes I just haven't seen any that thought were that great. So maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Maybe your house is worth $230. I kind of doubt it. But whatever, the place on 305 West Live Oak sold in November for $240, something like that. We have you noticed at $261. There's some slight differences between the 2 houses.
Okay. So Patricia, you have 1 minute to close. Any final thoughts?
No.
Okay, Ray?
Yeah,
1 minute.
Chasing the market value here, the market value is somewhere between 260 and 240. That's the reality of this. That sale on West Live Oak is a good indicator of value for what someone would pay. It's nearly the same house. I mean, it's so close to the same house. For that matter, the other comps are close, and also, so I'm good with anything in that area of value.
Okay. Now it's our time.
250.
Two what?
250. Split the difference.
Okay. I can go for that. Yeah. Are we good with that?
No, I'm thinking now, when we think for a very similar house, as Ray pointed out, she pointed out, sold for 240. And so Ray indicated that she's somewhere between 240 and 261. A similar house to hers is so close, those two houses.
So, do we have an actual name for it?
Yeah, we look at the sales count there, we can make the adjustments, it comes down to 259, 556, which is real close to her 261. So I feel like 250, that's being very generous. Okay.
Yeah, 250.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion then on case ID 2021-1298, account number 64918. When considering Q1 incorrect appraised market value and Q2 appraisal ratio exceeds the median level of appraisal or equity value, that we reduce the 2021 appraisal from $261,400 down to $250,000
Favor?
Aye.
Okay, Patricia. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Oh, she got two cases.
She withdrew the other two.
She had 3 originally, but they, yeah. All right, I'm gonna grab the in person.
Is it Baker?
Ready? Okay.
Baker?
Hopefully you don't get.
I'm assuming it's Baker. I'm not gonna make any guarantees anymore.
Back to 1287. To the bottom of page 7. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. These are the Bakers. And that's gonna be your area right over there. It is case 1287. Charlie's gonna let you know when. Y'all gonna take turns saying this and just sign it.
We have some administrative to go through before we get to the meat of the matter. If you just follow along with me, I'll have some questions down toward the end. We're opening a hearing on case number 2021-1287, account 20714. This is 209 County Drive, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I got the right one. Hearing is being recorded. Robert, what do we have?
Q1 incorrect appraised market value being protested.
Greg? Just Q1. All right. We are the appraisal review board that will be hearing your protest today. We do not work for the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of your protest. This is the review board at the table. Ray is the appraisal district representative. At the end of the hearing, you may complete a survey regarding your experience. The survey may be completed using the survey form and emailed to ptad.communications at cpa.texas.gov or online at surveymonkey.com/r/surveyarb. Survey is voluntary, but we do appreciate it if you take it. You also have the right to appeal our decision. Appeal information will be provided to you with our determination. At the end of this hearing, a document will be created. It will be sent out to you by snail mail, and it will contain the result of this hearing and instructions as to what you can do if you disagree with us. In accordance with Tax Code Section 41.45H, all written material that has not been provided must be provided at this time. I assume we have all your evidence now, right?
As much as I can get in, yes. I had some trouble getting stuff submitted in time, so I wasn't able to do that. I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference though.
Okay. The thing is, you can't introduce anything after I start the hearing.
I understand.
Okay.
I think Val's scanning it in right now. If you
Yeah,
send
finished
it.
up this project.
We have
Where are the pictures?
evidence. Yeah, we have.
Yeah, the pictures are the main part of it.
Okay. ARB members who are considering the protest have not communicated with anyone about the protest and are signing an affidavit to that effect. I, Charles Powers, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Robert Dayton, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
Go back to another
I
year.
Kathy Hoffman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66.
I, Bill Duck, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Scott Wager, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
All testimony from all witnesses must be given under oath. And that's your cue.
I, Gail Baker, do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony I shall present to the Appraisal Review Board is true and correct.
I, Christopher Baker, do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that I shall present to the Appraisal Review Board is true and correct.
Thank you.
I request that you solemnly swear affirm that testimony I shall give the appraisal review board is true.
Do either of you have a Texas appraiser's license?
No.
The governor makes me say that. You now have a piece of paper in front of you, which shows how we're going to manage the hearing. And you get to choose who goes first, you or the district.
The district.
The district? Okay, right? Carry on.
Yes.
Jackie, will you just stick there with her, please? So that's Picto from this year. That's aerial from January of this year. Go to aerial of 2019. All right, so the difficult thing with this is that Mr. and Mrs. Baker, for 19 and 20, do y'all know what your appraised value was for 19 and 20? Do y'all remember?
Yes.
0 and 15,000.
So the only thing on your account for the last 2 years, both in the year of 19 and the year of 20, was the land value.
Yes.
That's it. The house was essentially $0, worth nothing.
Right.
So does anybody live in the house?
Yes,
Is the house homesteaded?
it is.
So you have a homesteaded house that's worth $0 for 2 years?
Yes.
Yes, we've been for the past almost 4 years since we bought shortly after we bought the property, in a lawsuit with the seller and the inspector and her realtor because of just not disclosing material issues with the house. It has severe foundation issues. We've had mold issues and everything else, and the appraised repair cost is $285,000, which is more than we financed for the entire property. In 2018, we sat before your board and argued this, and they reduced the value to where it is currently.
No, not where it is currently, where it was, right?
Well, up until this point.
Okay, hold on a second. You guys are gonna get more time. Let me just pause this right here.
Okay.
Let me do this one thing that's necessary. I'm gonna show I'm gonna prove value real quick.
Okay.
So we're gonna go to the appraisals, district's evidence, and what's under protest is market value.
Can you just tell me where this house is?
It's on Donnie Drive. It is across the street from Live Oak Elementary. Donnie Drive runs parallel with 1781. It's a short road that is across from Live Oak Elementary, runs parallel with 1781.
Across from Griffin.
Across from Griffin, yeah. So the what's under protest is market value. Go ahead. We're good. Keep on going. All right. So the sales grid, it's going to show some sales. It's selling 20 for 139, and it's selling 20 on Lazy. One's on Donnie, one's on Lazy. Lazy's across the street for 190. Similar homes, they're actually smaller homes. They adjust out to 178 and to 195. Comp number 3 is on St. Francis Circle. It's kind of barely a comp. But it's similar and it's not on Club Lake. It's at least it's kind of tucked away. It's a class 3, 1,000 square foot home. Sold for 165. It's sufficient to be in this grid now that I think about it. Gives an indicated value of 195. I think we're going to end up talking about other things today. So I'm going to stop right there.
Okay, so you have 2 minutes for cross-examination and then 5 minutes for your presentation.
Okay, as far as the appraised values on the other properties, I'm assuming that those are in structural, the good structural condition. The problem with ours is we could not sell it at this point without trying because the structural issues underneath the foundation issues are so bad that we can't even get out from under it.
We've been advised that a potential buyer could not even get a mortgage on this property in the current condition.
And that's the biggest,
We've
problem.
also been told that it would be cheaper to scrape the property off and start over from scratch than to fix what's there. I know it looks very nice, those are extremely deceiving.
That's what got us in the process.
As we can present to you in our the pictures that you were just seeing were from the latest flooding rains that we had. It happens every time we get torrential downpours. More recently, they've been doing some land clearing, build stuff on the other side behind people across the street. And it's the flooding has gotten worse since then. I've been told that there was drainage maintenance ponds that were in that area that were filled in, and now the water runs through our across the street neighbor's property into the ditches, floods the ditches even worse, and fills them up, runs down our driveway.
Our house potentially
Sits in a bowl.
In a bowl. The problem for the beginning of the problem of the foundation issues was due to the flooding and it pools underneath the house. The property, even our driveway, we get flooding into our garage every time it rains because there is just enough of a slope of the driveway that it floods into the garage. That's not a problem that we can fix without essentially jacking the house completely up, filling in with a lot of dirt, etc. And at this point, we couldn't even probably jack the house up without it collapsing, you know, stand on the surface, our front entryway right now.
This $47,000 repair estimate was made in 2018, and that is just to fix the foundation. That's not to fix the walls, the roof. That's just to go back to subflooring.
And
That doesn't put cabinets back, anything.
And that was only in really that main, and a main
Right.
smaller area of the house, and that was, you know, that was before we even got the engineering reports that showed the structural issues to be even worse as far as.
The
trying to fix
engineering
that.
reports uncovered that that not only was the original structure of the house completely deficit. as far
Where
as
do you want me
the-
to go? Can you just tell me where to open? Here?
Okay. All right.
Windhouse
Yeah,
Engineering?
once shore engineering go to the house assessment, it's probably more important than the garage at this point.
Just the first one?
I believe so.
Okay.
Should scroll down. That's. All right, so that's his written findings, and then you have pictures of everything underneath with small examples. It's a patent block.
And essentially underneath the flooring is just sheeting off in pieces. And that's why we're waiting every day for our friend to let it collapse. It's gotten so bad it was, and you can step in it and so, and it's so soft.
And keep in mind, these pictures were taken in 2018.
Yes. And it's progressively gotten worse.
So it still looks the same today.
Most likely it looks worse. I'm scared to go under there.
Yeah, it's not safe to.
Do you live in the house?
We
We do. We don't have a
We don't have a
choice.
choice with the mortgage and everything we have. We can't afford to live in
Yeah,
our house.
we can't get out of the mortgage where it's still bound in the lawsuit,
Our back
which is
room
going
is torn
slowly.
out completely
Um,
due to mold issues. It's down to
and
studs.
we can't afford 2 mortgages, so we're stuck here. We had major mold issues. I think I was able to get rid of that. I can't afford to have them come back in and test again, but
Yeah, and then like I said, that back room that we had to tear out is torn out to, all the drywall's torn out, insulation, everything back there, the flooring, it's just down to
some.
base floor.
Any of these?
There's no stuff down to the
The inside
subfloor.
studs and
There
subfloor,
is
so we,
where the mold was at. I removed the drywall and I pulled everything
it's-
back and treated it. And, there's just no point in trying to put it back together. We need to do more work to it, but
because the
they told
foundation.
us the whole place is a loss, so, this hasn't done good money after that. I just have to concentrate on the lawsuit at this point.
Did somebody, any engineers tell you it should be torn down?
No, this is, what you read there is the only,
That's the report,
The,
and we
uh,
have all of the
no,
estimates.
the estimate from, L&M Custom Carpentry. The estimate, 1051, second to last PDF, down one. Right there. That's the most comprehensive estimate for the repairs. That includes raising the land so that it drains properly.
And as you see, that was over 2 years ago, and we all know what the
Right.
construction costs have become now.
And he's the one that suggested it would be cheaper to tear it down. And you consider construction costs have gone up, what, at least a third since then? Just material costs. That's pretty much what we're looking at.
So when it floods, it's your entire property flood? Your driveway, your yard, it looks like everything.
Yeah.
Pretty close to everything. There's a couple of high spots, but it runs through pretty well.
Yeah, it runs down and like I said, into.
They did jet out the ditches about a month ago, and I think that might help a little bit, but ultimately, between how our house is. All right, see this picture right here? Remember I was talking about this storage, those flood ponds that were filled in? You see how the water's running past the gas meter there?
Yeah.
Never, ever used to do that. The flood in 18, it didn't do that.
And it floods over into our property. And runs
This
into our house.
was, since they started doing all that work behind there, and my next door neighbor works for code compliance with Rockport, and he told me that's what happened.
Okay, you'll have some more time later. Ray, you got 2 minutes for cross-examination and then 2 minutes for rebuttal.
All right, I gotta ask you guys some questions. We don't have a lot of time, I need pretty short answers.
Okay.
Some of the questions may seem rude, but they're not. They're really not rude. Rain, all this stuff about rain. You guys had already turned your protest in before you took those photos, right? Yes. So rain was after. So if you imagine the rain didn't happen, let's just say, you wouldn't even have had photos of rain. But you still would have had a photo. You still would have a protest.
Well, I would have gone back to the 2018 photos. Those were
Of
just
flooding as well, these were just worse.
That's fine. Okay, there,
It was actually worse than 2018.
so that brings in more questions. Are any of your photos of the condition of your home current? Did you bring any current photos?
Not that are scanned in. I didn't
Did
know.
you bring any paperwork that has to do with your lawsuit?
I was trying to scan them in. I wasn't able to scan them.
Do you have any estimate that was done in the last year?
We haven't, wouldn't do any good because. we
So
can't afford it.
just hang with me for a second. All of those things were red flags. Okay, those are all red flags, that there's nothing current. There's nothing.
There's plenty current. I just didn't get them scanned.
If you could, we didn't get until 3 a.m. this morning from Google. I've been
We just
watching
got
that
back
week.
from
My
Virginia.
mother just
Her
passed
mother
away
died
with
last
COVID.
week.
So
We got
we didn't
it
have time to
3:30 this
prepare.
morning. We haven't had time to prepare for this at all.
Okay, that's fine. It's not an accusation. I'm just saying, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm
We'll be
just
happy
saying
to have
it's
you tour the house
difficult.
if you want to see.
It's difficult because,
Well, you're implying that we're not being truthful.
yes, but that's
But it's the
because,
same thing as saying we're
no,
lying.
not really.
Yeah, it is.
It's a jaded position that I have here where I have to kind of pry a little bit. But
Right.
I told you it was gonna seem rude, but I'm not, it's not as rude as it seems. If I sat in your seat, you sat in mine, we kind of, so the estimate for the total bill at 280, that's just silly, right? No one's gonna do that. You're never gonna spend.
Are you a contractor?
No, what I'm saying is, you're never gonna spend $280,000 that way. You're not gonna do it. Nobody's gonna do that. You just do something else with your life, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a large number.
That's to improve, that is to fix the flooding issue, like where it sits in the bowl.
So
where
That's to fix everything. with the
Yeah,
property.
right, which is just unbelievable number, right?
Well, what are you gonna do when you have $191,000 mortgage? and
Which
you
brings
cannot
me
get
to
out
my
from
next
under it,
question.
and then-
My next question is, do you currently have insurance?
We do.
So you have someone willing to insure this house?
They haven't been out to inspect it since it was
They-
originally
When we
insured.
purchased this property,
Okay,
they insured the property.
Which these problems were not
And
evident.
we have not changed insurance carriers because of the issues with the property, because it would be illegal for me to go in and not disclose everything.
Exactly, that's what got us, was the seller did not disclose the
no,
issue.
and that's kind of what I'm chasing down. I'm chasing down this. I'm gonna arrive at something here in a second. That's a difficulty. So you have insurance, but I understand when you say no one's been out and seen my house in 5 years. I get it.
We wouldn't be able to get
Right, if
insurance
they ever
on
came
it
out, what would
for
they
what
do?
it needs if
I
we
don't
switched
know.
insurance carriers.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Did you get a roof after the storm?
After,
Supposedly.
supposedly,
Did you
like,
get a
But we bought the house after the storm.
we had
Oh,
started to
okay.
buy
We
the
bought
house
the house
prior to
and-
Harvey. We
yeah.
were supposed to close the day Harvey hit, and then all these repairs were supposed to have been done, and it turns out they were not done properly, and some other issues that prior to Harvey were not.
So let me just, before the board and everybody, I just want to say a dilemma here. I'm gonna need a few minutes, because this is truly a dilemma,
Okay,
and then you can give them as much time be done.
all right.
The dilemma is to have a homesteaded property and have zero value on the improvement. That's not a thing. Because a home, to be homesteaded, has to be livable. So that's a very difficult thing that's very odd. It's difficult to figure that part out. That's very difficult to figure that out. And one of the difficulties here, I believe, is the lack of litigation paperwork. It would be nice to kind of read some of that and see which direction this is going.
Which we would
I
have
can give you all of that stuff. I didn't realize that I needed it. And I was trying to actually get it to her but I was having issues with my,
Yeah.
I mean, it's right here.
I
can show it to you right now.
No, and you know what, it's not a bad thing, because that red flag thing I was telling you about is, the jaded part is this. I have people come into me and say, hey, we're tearing this house down, it's total garbage, please put 0. I'm tired, I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, put 0 on this house, we'll move on. And then when I drive by it the next year, it didn't get torn
Oh, we
down.
want to tear it down. We
They're
just can't
living in
afford to do
it,
anything.
and I'm driving by looking and I'm thinking, what the heck? So when you work here, you just start asking some questions that suck. And that question sucks, but we gotta get there. So these guys have to figure out what to do with your value, because I don't know what to do with it. You have a homestead, and I don't want that, homestead to be yanked for an unlivable home. You see what I'm saying? That's kind of a problem.
I understand. Take it away.
You're living in an unlivable home kind of thing. I'm talking a lot.
Purpose, no value.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you 4 minutes. You get a couple extra minutes because he took 2 extra minutes.
Yeah.
So.
All right, as far as the lawsuit goes, it is very real. It's public record. I believe, in the files that y'all have, there should be, the amended petition from back when we initially filed the lawsuit. I'm reasonably certain that's in there. It
On
is
the flash
your-
drive?
I'm sorry?
Is it on the flash drive?
Yeah, it should be.
He's thinking it should be.
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. I mean, let me
I
just
don't
find it.
wanna perjure myself and say it's
No,
not.
no,
It's
no.
been
Let me
a while
look.
since I put that together. Is that all that's on there?
That's all that I have on there, yes.
I don't think they have.
That's what's on the flash drive.
It's not on there. I can't believe I didn't put that on there. And it's too late, I can't give it to you.
But it has cost us to this, just since the beginning of January of this year.
We've paid
put out
over $8,000 in attorney's
in
fees since
attorney fees
January.
just since the beginning of January. That doesn't count the other 13 or 14,000 prior to that, and we've never gotten to court yet. Every time between COVID and one thing or another, it's just been, we had court dates. We were supposed to have gone to court again in February, and that got canceled, and it's just been a nightmare. And any money that we have, unfortunately, is going towards this lawsuit, trying to get enough money to be able to repair this house, because we can't. I mean, obviously, if we had the money to spend to repair it that way, yeah, it would be gone, and, or we'd have the money to pay that mortgage in to live somewhere else, which we don't. And, I don't, at this point, we feel like we're just totally stuck, and this was not, the foundation issues, the seller did know about, but she did not disclose to us, and it was not until we knew there was a slight, the house needed to be leveled. And it was supposedly done, done right before Harvey, and then she said there was a lifetime foundation warranty on it that was transferable, so that we could get it leveled. We ended up closing on this house 4 days before Christmas, and she skipped town. She signed 2 hours before us and skipped town. We weren't allowed access to even inspect the property.
The foundation company that
until
he
a few
used has
hours.
actually been included in the lawsuit most recently. There is a settlement pending with the inspector. I'm not allowed to discuss any more than that. It's nothing. The seller is basically admitted to the fraud, but she doesn't have any money. So we're down to the real estate agent and the foundation company that she had used. We have TREC complaints filed against the real estate agent and the inspector. We're contesting the build year of the property. We think that house was actually built in 1960. And when they did the improvements in, I guess, 95, they didn't bring it up to code, which would mean that it would be illegal for them to change the build year. On my understanding, there's evidence in the structural parts of the original property that it was, that, I was told the floor joists are, 24 on center, which hasn't been coded since 1960. And I found at least in one of the original rooms, no ground fault wiring, just two positive, negative wiring, no ground wiring, which hasn't been coded since then.
Okay.
So we are contesting the bill here also.
But all of our,
Okay, Ray, you've got 1 minute then for closing.
So all of the roadblocks in a real estate transaction that deals with mortgage failed.
Yes.
So the home inspector failed. The realtor, due diligence, kind of the trustworthy factor of the real estate agent failed. The homeowner's disclosure failed. And not only that, an insurance company insured the house in the current condition it was in. It wasn't insurance that you had and then this happened. It was insurance that insured this home in its current state. All of that happened to y'all.
Yes.
believe it or not.
Yes, it did.
And, and like I said, from the outside, the house looks good, and from the inside in the beginning, I mean, we had to do some painting, and there was, minor patch, but not structural issues like this, anything else. I mean, you can put lipstick on a pig and it looks great all day long. That doesn't mean that there's.
It's hard to live in a house that's worth $0.
I agree.
That's hard to do.
It is. It's hard to walk through the front door and wonder if today's the day you're gonna fall through the floor.
Okay, you have 1 minute for closing. Any final thoughts you want to tell us?
Folks, I'm sorry that I'm not better prepared for this. I wish I could give you the documents that he's asking for, but the facts are, as Gail and I stated, this house is in very poor condition. It is livable right now because we're living in it. It is not saleable right now because of the condition. What you can extrapolate from that, I'm not really sure, but I'm sure that y'all will do what's fair for both sides. Thank you.
Now it's our time.
Very similar to the case we had on C, water damage.
Yeah.
A decision based on what a lot of similar circumstances.
Yeah, and I think it needs to be marked down considerably, but I don't think it needs to go to 0.
No. I do remember.
Yeah, I don't want, I know this is, you got some.
We went back to the
I got 6 binders.
So I don't want, I'm not even close to saying, I'm just saying, something in the account speaks from the legal.
The land's the big issue. Okay. Well, it's the land is the culprit.
Okay, well, I'm gonna toss out
Especially
$100,000.
you've arrived at a spot beyond whether or not you disclose.
To go down?
It's already disclosed. You
I
guys.
thought you. Oh, you did, yeah, okay.
Did not.
Keep going, you're right. I think you're right.
Down
Down to.
And we would, and sticking somebody with something
No, I
like we did,
understand.
it was.
It would just be nice, it would be nice if we had that, I could put a note in the account, see such and such file, this is what's going on.
It's a horrific.
I like
This. Okay.
Like, can you take it out now?
Yeah.
75.
You just have to put it more.
I can go in because I don't need it anymore. Whenever we're done. They're talking, right?
That's right. You know what I mean?
And that's the whole issue, that's, Ray
That's
says
what I'm
too,
saying,
and
so sometimes we can
Can
turn
you
some of
solve
it,
it's a basket case.
or at least, you know, I didn't know that.
Right. No,
This
I
was
know.
last time we went to
The other thing.
Yeah, I understand your position. You had to do what you had to do.
Who cares?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
Take
a
away.
lot of times when
Right.
somebody's
No value.
flying,
No value anyway.
they're gonna crack.
Well,
I
and,
know
and
that.
Besides the
Because
things, it's like
so it's better for me to be on
you're
record,
lying or something.
questioning you.
Having
I'm defending
conversation.
myself.
Yes,
and not
then
one
for us to be on record, and me just saying, oh, that's right, you know, that just doesn't, it's better for me. to-
In July.
No, I understand.
But not to be a jerk, like, right, there's a difference.
I get it,
between-
I understand.
Yeah, there's
I
a
mean,
difference
it's-
between pushing a little bit, there's a difference between,
Agreed.
I went in to ask my, had a bad day, and asked my doctor about medicine, and he ended up getting me the that. And then he said, I said, make sure.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean, it's that kind of
And,
thing.
and we do get it.
Yeah.
You're all right, I get it.
It's
It just,
frustrating for us, and right
It's
now-
frustrating because I was gonna spend last week doing all this nice working happened and
Yeah, I ended up getting, had to leave this lady over 2 weeks ago, and my mother, you know, was in the hospital and had been.
Okay, we're come to a conclusion here. I move on case ID 2021-1287, account number 20714, when considering Q1, the incorrect appraised market value, that we lower the 2021 appraised value from, what was it, 182,420 down to $50,000.
Favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Good luck to you.
Your homestead is gonna eat up 25,000 of that,
okay,
so the assessment will really actually be on 25,000.
okay.
We appreciate
Does that include the land value or just the property value?
That's the overall thing, that's 50,000 for the, when they make a judgment, it's on the market. Thank you,
you
guys.
very much. We've
Thank
been
you.
on
Thank you.
1193. Carlisle. And it's an in-person, so I'll be right back.
And I put a reminder in my phone for next March to make sure we can add and we can. Hopefully we'll talk about it and then we'll be able to do it.
Thank you.
Who's next? Did you?
Let's talk about any specific property.
What's the case number?
1193.
It's on the top of the page.
Taking a quick break?
Yeah, we're taking a quick break.
Thinking, you know, what happens, like, you have like a $15,000 loan on a used car or something like that. And, you lose it.
Yeah,
You got a 15, you know what I mean? You got a
Yeah.
$15,000
it's
loan.
worthless.
And what do you do with?
Yeah.
But
I get it.
Right here, yes.
Okay, correct.
maybe,
I just don't know. I mean, how does the insurance company
Okay, perfect.
even insure it? That's my thing.
Okay.
They
I
should
get
have
it.
tried that.
All right,
Been sitting for a long time.
I get it. Hi, how are you?
what's the coastal mercantile, that's on Austin Street, coastal mercantile?
Yeah.
Is that a?
We have a home decor store down there, but actually today you have me under my personal, right?
Yeah, I was just curious, that's all your email.
Oh, okay, no, I just wanted to make sure, I was like, I did sign up for the right one, right?
We have a friend that has a shop down here.
Oh, what is it?
Songbird.
Yeah, Patty.
Yeah.
They're buying a new building.
Yeah, I heard
A couple
about
of stores
having-
down.
They have to move. their
I don't
stuff.
know.
They were talking about having to move all their stuff.
I think they're actually buying, they were leasing a space kind of across the street from us. We bought the Star Gallery that's right there, and so she is buying the one two down from us.
Same stuff.
So, same side of the road, yeah. I'm so glad that we actually opened our doors on the same day. So we went to each other's ribbon cuttings and did all the,
Y'all have some competition selling the same kind of stuff?
we're very different, yeah. And that's, I really feel like the place for downtown Tri-C, the stores try to be pretty different.
She gets it all the time. People stop,
So,
somebody stop her
yeah,
and
we
say,
do a lot of.
Okay, that's
cleaning and,
Yeah. I was like, well,
especially
that's
out of
good.
wine
You
bars,
make a
back
smile or
of
something,
our
remember.
place.
Yeah.
Everything
I think
else
she
is
motivated
back.
a long time.
She has.
Your
Now
place,
I
yeah.
definitely, okay,
Over
well, go
those,
She's
Bay, the harbor.
does she still work there?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we saw her
Behind
last
it, or
time.
just one lot? Or was it-
Because
It's
I remember looking at
actually
the red hair.
down
Yeah.
the gallery,
That's
as
funny.
well as the gallery, and then there's 2 lots behind it. That faces, Water Street.
And that's just like, you're just owning them just to protect them,
Yeah.
or you might.
Yeah, I mean, one day we may do something, I don't know, you know, what our.
Get on the house.
You could, yeah, there's definitely, there's residential on Water Street, so,
Or even,
No
not on that
kidding.
side.
not on that side, I mean,
There are some like apartment style things back here.
yeah. Actually, the lady that, was the original great granddaughter of my building owner, who I bought from the Wall Street family. She, her house is on Water Street, 3 houses down.
What the
So
heck's wrong with
it's
this?
been neat
Oh,
to learn the history
What
of
do you
the
have to
town.
change
There's really a cool history to it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really neat. Yeah,
And
we're very-
everybody's still just
Oh, is it
waiting
for
for
that?
asking to.
Yeah, I guess she's gonna go out in the lobby.
Yeah, and in the city and county offices, did they ever approve that? You know?
I see.
I'm anxious to see what's gonna happen
That
there. It'd
doesn't
be
make
nice
sense.
if they can get that approved.
For the
Yes, I
court,
do.
like the new courthouse and
This is
stuff.
not-
that's-
Oh, it's
Yeah,
one-
well,
one
we would like to
nine
see
four nine
that
three.
happen for sure.
Yeah.
I think it would be good for downtown.
Yeah. It's something maybe to happen with that old HEB room. Would be nice.
There's a,
Yeah,
there's a
but
1933 as well.
Various
That's the
rumors,
one.
of course, you know, from hotel to, at one time, the mayor guy was looking at it.
Yeah.
He still owns that land.
Okay, so-
So, and it's just wonder with all the stuff that's going on, how successful movie theaters.
I know, it's crazy.
It is.
I said nobody was gonna go back and then go by the movie thing. and go to the past.
Good. I
Mhm.
really like hearing that.
But I was
Great.
thinking that, once it's out of your system, it's.
Yeah.
fine.
I miss it.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we have some administrative that I have to go through.
Okay, that's fine.
And when I get there at the end, I'll ask a couple of questions.
Okay, perfect.
We're opening a hearing on case ID 2021-1193, account 19928. This hearing is being recorded. Robert?
We're protesting Q1 and Q2.
We are the appraisal review board that will be hearing your protest today. We do not work for the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of protest. This is the appraisal review board around this table. Ray will sit at the appraisal district spokesman. Representative. At the end of the hearing, you may complete a survey regarding your experience. Survey may be completed using the survey form and emailed to ptad.communications@cpa.texas.gov or online at surveymonkey.com/r/survey-ARB. Survey is voluntary. We do appreciate if you take it. You also have the right to appeal our decision. Appeal information will be provided to you with our determination. At the end of the hearing, a document will be created with the determination. It will also give you some information about how you can appeal if you don't agree with it. In accordance with tax code section 4145H, all written material that has not been provided must be provided at this time. This is very important. Do we have all of your evidence in this?
I believe you should. I dropped everything off several
Okay.
weeks ago.
Okay, good. ARB members who are considering the protest have not communicated with anyone about the protest and are signing an affidavit to that effect. I, Charles Powers, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 4166F.
I, Robert Dayton, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F.
I, Kathy Hoffman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with a person in violation of tax code section 41.66.
I, Bill Duck, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66.
I, Scott Wagner, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with a person in violation of tax code section 41.66.
All testimony from all witnesses must be given under oath. That's your cue.
I, Bonnie Carlisle, do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony I shall give is the appraisal of the board is true
Monty, do you hold a appraiser's license in the state of Texas? You have a sheet of paper on the table. It shows that right there. It shows how we're going to manage it here. A few times. Now you get to choose whether you go first or whether you speak first.
I'm happy to listen to what you guys have to say first, and then I'll take my turn.
Be
If
that
that's
guy, not we guys.
Oh, him? Okay. Sorry, I've never done this before.
Right? 5 minutes.
You know, better pull this up on TikTok. It'll be a little confusing at first. You do the mosaic thing so that just one click and refresh. Okay. So that's 35 North, leaving town. First house is Brian Brock's. The next house is what used to be his sister's house.
Susie Black.
Yes, and then was, I think, JR's house. Yeah, Gimler's house. And had recently sold. Okay. Now everybody know where we're at.
So the airport is just to the south.
That is correct. So, let's see here. Go ahead. Property card has a value of 707,210. Go to the, that's, we looked at Picto, now we'll go to the sales grid. And the first comp on the sales grid is the subject. 5/28/2020. The appraisal district thinks it sold for $695,500. Next comp is 3/1/2021, Osprey and the Preserve, $569,900 for the sale. That is a 2,700 square foot house compared to a 3,900 square foot house. Renders a value of $677 when it compares back and forth and subtracts and minuses for good and bad. 29 Osprey is a 2,900 square foot house. It's also a 6. Compared to a 6, that's a 3,900 square foot house. Sold for $668. Gives a value of $706,399. Median value is $695,500. And equity has a median equity value of $688,558 when comparing it to Class 6 BB, Class 6 ST, 4,500 square feet, 3,700 square feet. One of those comps, I'm assuming, is the house next door. It is. That's comp number 2. That's the house next door. And comp number 3 is on Osprey. It's a Class 6, 3,000 square foot home. Again, the median equity value is $688. The appraisal district has noticed this house at 707. Equity is lower than median market value, rendering a value of $688. That would be our opinion. That's it.
Okay. So Bonnie, you have then 2 minutes for cross-examination and 5 minutes for your presentation. So you 7 minutes.
Yes, sir. If we go back up to the first exhibit, if we look at the construction year built on this one, okay, actually it was built 2010, and I think the next exhibit, I'm showing on comp 2 on Osprey. You look at the next exhibit,
It's right here.
Uh,
Sorry.
Well, I'm just, if we, hold on, we scroll down, so that was 2010. One of them is 2017. One of them, actual year bill 2000, I'm sorry, we scroll down. One of them is, what is that one? There, actually, year bill 2014, and then you got one in 2017. So I guess one of my questions here would be to compare even construction of those homes versus my home built in 1984 that quite frankly was not remodeled after Harvey. I think that there's a challenge there because there's a tremendous amount of money and work that's had to be put into my home because of the nature of the construction from 1984, and then the fact that Mr. Gimler did not make restoration after Harvey, up to and including even replacing our comp roof, which I've had 3 roofers look at, and every one of them says it has to be replaced. My inspection report was 62 pages long. So, whereas some of these other homes that I'm sure were addressed or even built post Harvey, I would almost bet that quality of construction and or reconstruction, or just the nature of them being updated to code, would give them a higher improvement value than what I'm dealing with when you look at price per square foot to take into account I'm buying a 1984 home that went through a hurricane that was not restored versus a home built in 2014, 2017, or 2010 that most likely, if they sustained damage, was rebuilt back to current code and construction and was probably built to that code to begin with. So I don't think that we can compare apples to apples on the actual improvements, the home itself, simply because my home is old. It has gone through a number of storms, a number of problems. And like I said, after Harvey, to Mr. Gilmore's own admission, he didn't really do any improvements other than cleaning up around the property. But I think it's 2 totally different things to say that that value would be the same. Then going back to our land value and the value of our construction versus Brock home. Brian Brock's home has tile roof. It sustained a significant remodel after Harvey and has been completely remodeled and brought back up to code, and certainly is in great condition and sustained value. When I look at that versus ours, we share our 10 acres, and they actually have, there's a little more manicured than mine. Mine's a little rough, and they have more pond area than we do. The improvements themselves on Brian's home, I'm sure if anybody knows Brian, it's extremely well maintained, very nice, with the detached garage, the workshop, the swimming pool, all of those things that we do not have that are immaculately installed and maintained. When we look at the value there, it's lower than mine. So I guess I'm questioning how can Mr. Brock's house and land value, it's literally, they split 10 acres, be less than mine when his home is restored, refinished. Mine is pretty much in a, very close to post 1984 condition. The JR made very few improvements to, up to including even, my bathroom and everything about the home is still 1984 edition with a slap of internal paint. And I'm having to address those things monetarily as we find them and as we can afford to remodel them. But I don't necessarily agree that it would be equitable that Brian's would be worth less than mine, or that mine should be increased at such a rate as it was from year over year. Mr. Gimler admittedly said that he should have protested the prior tax increase and he just didn't get around to doing it. But then to recognize this amount of an increase year over year, I think is pretty significant. And I don't want to say arbitrary, but I think it's pretty significant and should at least merit some review.
Did you purchase the house
I did purchase the home.
for $695?
No, I did not purchase it for $695. Actually, that's what it was listed for before, a year before we moved to town permanently. That was his list price, and he did not get a buyer for it at that list price.
So it was not on the market when we approached him. I had seen it on a Zillow listing, that it was an off-market thing that had been pulled nearly a year before. And it sat on the market at that price for a year, and he did not get that for it. So with that said, we approached him outside of going through, our realtors, and we made him an offer for something much lower than that. And even at that, I would say that I think that we overpaid. Now knowing what we know about the property, but I certainly don't think that our value is anywhere near that.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir. That's it.
Ray, you have 2 minutes for cross-examination and 2 minutes for robust.
Do you not want to say what you paid for?
Our situation is complicated with our state and different things. And so, yeah, I don't really want to disclose what that, but in all honesty, I will tell you, we did not pay back for it. So, yeah.
So a couple of things here would be, you need to go back to the appraisal district's evidence.
Okay.
And go to the bottom of the appraisal district's evidence, just scroll down to the pictures. We need to look at the pictures, yeah. So we changed the effective age of the house. It's our opinion that the inside of the house is in 1984. So we just did it off of photos. It's real normal for us to do that. Recessed lighting with the way that bathroom looks to us, it doesn't look 1984. We would expect it to look different than that.
Can I just mention something about the photo here? If you guys saw this, you would walk, like, my guests would come in, this is my master bath. Everyone laughs about my master bath because it is absolutely out of Stone Age. These photos don't look as hideous as it really is, but this tub is about 2 times the size of this table. It looks like a small swimming pool that's sitting, and then it's wrapped with wood all the way around. I mean, truly, well, nobody would do this. I'm just saying, I've been in real estate, in and around real estate the last 20 years. Nobody would do this.
I'm just saying that, what does the appraisal district do with photos like this? When they see photos like this, they're not going to leave the house at 1984. We increase the effective age of the home. The stuff about Brian's house we don't know about.
Yeah.
We only know anything about this house because it was listed in photos. We don't turn down that road.
Well, let me just, again, looks
You're
can
gonna
be
get-
deceiving.
You're going to get a few minutes.
Oh,
here.
okay, sure.
Yeah, we're just on a time thing, and it just works better that way. So there's things that we don't know about Brian's house. There's no doubt we feel like we probably undervalued Brian's house, but we don't drive down that road. We don't go knock on the door. There's a very private feeling to that place. We just leave it alone, but we saw these listings, we adjusted the value of this home. Was that my beep or her beep?
It was mine. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I just thought for a second. It couples well with the preserve. You ask yourself, where would you comp this? Well, probably comp it with the preserve. Although it is a little bit different, there's a lot of similarities. I would try to not comp it with a country club, but where else are you gonna comp houses like this that aren't built on the waterfront? It's tricky. I understand you're not wanting to say your purchase price, but it does make this a little bit more difficult. It does make it a little bit more difficult. Because the problem is we're accurate. What we pay for purchase prices is $695 in our grid.
Right.
So, but really we're at $688 in our equity grid. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Now you have 2 minutes.
We go back to the photos. Sorry, so all of this that you see here, minus when it was Susie's house, it was painted country green. On the walls were painted country green. Everything else, so they painted. That's it. Everything else here is the same. So no structural improvements, no updates, no upgrades. Cabinets that used to be at a 36-inch high level back in the 80s. Now we don't do that anymore. You have at least a 42-inch high cabinet with some kind of an updated counter space. And these are all original. So this is all from 1984. And painted. That's it. You've got a coat of paint. And even to the fact that like we don't even have a vent hood. This is how old that was done back then. That's not even code. So we can't vent when we cook. All of those things that all the appliances have been in the house since Susie was there, including dishwasher, all of these types of things. It may think it looks updated, but if you came in my house, you would say, oh yeah, no, I see it. I mean, just anyway. And so then again, like JR did, he thinks these cabinets, again, 36-inch high, very odd for bathroom cabinets this day and time, little tiny sinks, no door on the potty. You don't do those things anymore. This hideous tub that's there, the shower space is, the size of a guest bath. And just if you were to walk into it, you would see what I'm talking about. It hasn't been changed other than some very minor cosmetic things done by JR that I'm sure were probably leftover building products from someone else's job site. So that's what we're dealing with. If anything, I'm having to undo what he did. It might have been less hideous had I just bought it straight from Susie, but that's what it is. And so it does give an illusion that there have been some improvements, but really there have not. I mean, if anything, it has attracted. So monetarily, it is not there. I mean, if I were to bring this up to a current code or a home that would bridge $710,000, it would take me a lot of money to get it there or to sell it.
All right, so where you have 1 minute to close?
1 minute to close. What to say? What we comped 688, right? That's what we comped. In our comp, comparing it to our comps are comparing it to the sum that we think it is. It's hard to arrive at a value here for me to know. I don't know. It was listed for $695, and you're saying it was sell.
And it stayed on the market,
So
you guys, for a year at that price before he just pulled it off because he wasn't going to get it.
Yeah, we'll let these guys make a decision.
Okay.
Before I say it, I'm not going to say it.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, if it was worth $685 over a year's time in Rockford, Texas these days, somebody would have paid it, but it wasn't. So.
Okay. So now you have a minute to close.
I really don't have anything further to say. I hope that we acknowledge that, sometimes these things in MLS can be a little deceiving. I'm always often disappointed myself when I see something on Zillow and then I go visit it. I'm like, wow, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So I don't think it's a good indicator. I think the best comp is to use the box comp next to where you share the property and quite frankly, cutting and building both homes. And not much is different. If anything, his would be worth more than mine, in my opinion.
Okay. Can we see the card on Brian Box? 19929.
And also, I'll see while Jackie's doing that, it's an 84 effective year.
2009.
Up to 2009, it depreciates. It's like not 18 or 16.
So here's Brian's place.
Okay.
That's what it looks like, 1995.
Appreciation,
80% appreciation. Again, being low on Brian's house is not an indicator of value of your house. That's I'm just talking to you, these guys. I'm just telling you, it's not an indicator of value there. It just means we haven't done a good job at Brian's house. It doesn't really tell you what your house is worth. It just would be nice if maybe his house, because you know more about it than anybody in this room, probably. So we're even having to artificially adjust Brian. We're adding an extra 20%. I don't know if we're doing that to you or not. We're pushing.
What's the total value?
509. Well, 567. We raised his value this year. So he has a homestead cap lot, so his value is 567.
Can we, well, the effective age question is interesting. Since it is kind of a, shot in the dark on the district part, it seems. What's the effect of if we were to, instead of using 2009, maybe go to like 1991? Because what I was considering here, there were some.
What is the actual date? Do it in
1984.
So do it in a 10-year. So go from 84 to 90.
Okay, I was just splitting the difference between the two.
I understand. So 94. That changes you from it's $100,000 change, right? With 710.
707 and
707.
so 611, 810.
That's my number. Keep talking. I think that's more than. Keep talking. I mean.
Hey, I'm not, I know that perhaps in the statement evaluating Brian's house next door at 509 or 5 square, or just 80 something. Versus at 707. Just to me, there's monster differences between the two in terms of value. I don't know. You were using effective age, lose how much of the growth.
Well, when the effective age change, took it down to 611 from 707. About $100,000.
I'm thinking about
I think
what,
that's a good thing.
yeah, I do too. I mean, I think about what something might sell for, say, in Unit 3 of the country club, a much smaller lot, a huge piece of land here, nice house. Yeah, that seems very.
She has to live next door to Brian.
The bigger issue, y'all, really to me, is what didn't get
So,
done.
so what are you suggesting? 611?
Yeah, no.
Equity.
688. I mean, I could go over that one too.
Well, there is a bit of a crapshoot with the effective age question. Okay, so they did increase, and I don't know when that change was made, but it did go to 2009, which is a pretty significant jump from 84, with the lady testifying that there really hasn't been any. And y'all bought it changes.
We bought it last May. We purchased it last May.
So welcome to town. We're going to jump your property values too. I'm 611. That works for me.
611.
I can go there. I don't. I'm more like you. I'm more.
She'd like to go down. You'd like to stay.
I'm still going which way Brian's house. I'm not counting.
That's too low.
Too low.
Where are you at? Everybody?
611. 611 on my part.
Really low with Charlie at
611.
688. Okay, make the motion. 611. 688.
Negative 611.
Okay, that's right. All right, so 611. Change. How much was it? 617.
Yeah.
611, 810. Oh, you want me to show you? Sorry.
That's all right.
Here you go.
Okay. So I'll make a motion there on case ID 2021-1193, account number 19928, considering Q1 appraised market value, Q2 appraisal ratio exceeding the median level of appraisal or equity value, that we lower the property value from 707,210 to 611,810.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The record show 3, 4, 2 against.
Okay.
Thank you all for your time. I really actually I appreciate what you guys have done. I think it could have been lower just based on what I know about property and what I know about rents, what I know needs to be done. But as a reminder to make you feel better about not going to the 688, it didn't get sat on the market for a year at 685 and no one would buy it. So market value is what someone's willing to pay. And it certainly didn't warrant or get 685. So anyway, thank you both and all three of you and all five of you for your time and appreciate it.
You're welcome.
The next one's gonna be on the phone. Yeah, case number 1933.
And more.
We have one more in the waiting room. After this.
You can't tell them what they expected.
You ready?
No, I'm not. I can find it.
What did you say?
This is on the phone, right?
Very last
Yes.
page.
Name is. We're gonna call her Lori.
Wait, what?
FAC Rain. Here.
Huh, oh, look at that. I said the name sounded familiar. I don't know. But,
Yeah.
Ready?
Oh my god.
You okay over there?
I'm good. My mouse is not working.
Hi, Lori, this is Charlie Powers with the Appraisal Review Board. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, except that I couldn't hear your name. I'm sorry.
Charlie Powers.
Darley?
Charlie Powers.
Charlie. Okay, it's a little hard to hear you. But
Okay, we turned the phone around.
can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes, no problem.
Okay, good.
We have some administrivia to go through.
Okay.
I'll have some questions for you down toward the end. We're opening a hearing on case number 2021-1933, account 15912. This hearing is being recorded.
Under protest is Q5, and under other, it says maximum homestead increase on the protest.
Okay.
It was that and then the evaluation were the two things. When I sent the appeal.
Okay.
for the protest form, and
The original protest form, that is crossed out.
it was not intended to be crossed out.
Okay. We will include Q2 then also.
And I'm sorry, what was your name?
I'm Robert Davis, I'm one of the board members.
Wonderful, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else in the room that just, so I know who I'm speaking to?
Yes, there's 5 of us at the table that are on the appraisal review board, and then you have a couple of Aransas County representatives too for the appraisal district.
Okay, great, great. Is this recorded at all?
Yes,
Or not?
it is recorded.
Okay, great, thank you. The other
Okay.
things then that you.
We're the, I have a little bit more of the script to go through. There's
Okay.
the governor. We are the appraisal review board that will be hearing your protest today. We do not work for the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of your protest. The comptroller's office provides an electronic survey for you to offer feedback about your experience today. It may be accessed at the appraisal district office or online at surveymonkey.com/r/survey-ARB. Survey is voluntary. You also have the right to appeal our decision. Appeal information will be provided to you with our determination. in accordance with tax code section 4145H. All written material that has not been provided must be provided at this time. Do we have all of your evidence?
You have all, I attached it all, so I hope that you received it all.
Okay. Thank you. The ARB members who are considering a protest have not communicated with anyone about the protest and are signing affidavits to that effect. I, Charles Powers, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F.
I, Robert Dayton, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F.
I, Kathy Hoffman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F.
I, Bill Duck, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66.
I, Scott Waggart, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F.
Lori, I'm going to assume that you are under oath as a result of you signing the affidavit.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Red Presley, do solemnly swear affirmative testimony.
Lori, I have to ask, do you have an appraiser's license?
No, I do not.
Okay. Do you have the hearing procedure times page? It was.
I do. I have that in front of me.
Excellent. That's how we're going to manage the hearing. Would you like to go first, or would you like the district to go first?
I think if it's all right, I'd like to go first.
You certainly may. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, time starts now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have three main points then. Two are tied to the evaluation. The first is the homestead status point, and that in 2016 and 2017, our home was under the homestead status. Hurricane Harvey affected our decision to retain the homestead status. My husband is a retired custom contractor, and many friends were being told it would be 1 to 2 years before they could get help to get repairs. My husband registered with the city of Rockport and assisted several homeowners with repairs. In addition, I left my position as manager of clinical operations at Blue Cross Blue Shield to work for a nonprofit agency assisting homeowners with insurance, without insurance, to help get repaired or rebuild their home. During times that we changed, during those initial months after the hurricane, we had started to move homestead exemption to our home that we purchased in May of 2017. Since there was actually no home on 219 Pintail, it was totally destroyed in the storm. And we knew that it was going to be, my husband as a contractor was going to rebuild once he helped other homeowners. But we made the decision at that time to delay the rebuild process while he helped other homeowners. The homestead was, exemption was replaced in January 2021. We are at same consideration as other homestead exemptions, as we would not have removed that had it not been for Hurricane Harvey. And I know there's an option to keep it, but under the circumstances, we made that decision. The second point is the property is unequal compared with other properties. I submitted 2 pieces of evidence that have 2 recent comps. Let's see, I'm not sure if the order came exactly the way that mine, that I have in my hand, but the one that I'm going to start with is 125 and 127 Pocono Lane. That home sold for $279,700 as noted on the MLS form. Then the price per square feet, they noted as 233.08. With that form, yeah, of course, it is 2 canal front lots. Now, any realtor, you know, that you talk to talks about the difficulty that I've talked about the difficulty, you know, in the variables in canal front, you know, waterfront, all the different variables boats and features that are there in canal front properties. With this particular one, because both lots were included in that, generally a lot, canal front lot, you know, I have three, we have three currently. One of them was equivalent to 54,200. So if that is deducted from the sale price, that would make the price per square foot $187.50, which would put our valuation for 2021 at $199,875. So that was the second comp that I submitted a form was on 121 Redhead. That's the one that sold at $259,000. This one has Lakeview values. Generally, those are approximately twice the value of canal front lot. And so $58,000, if that would be deducted from that sale price for that, basically, I'm just using it that way for ease and math, basically. 163.41 would change the price per square feet to 163.41 from the 210.57, which would make evaluation comparable on our lot using that square foot price of 174,200. The last point that I had on mine, now there are other comps that I know that you'll talk about in yours, and I have points on those that we'll talk about, you know, in the following questions on yours. The last point of value affected by hurricane home across the street, 218 Pintail Lane. This is not the best picture, I understand. The ring I had pictures, they did not transfer. So I took one with our ring. If that home is unlived in, it has greater than 50% damage, and no one has been living in it since prior to the hurricane. There's metal on the roof that flaps gravel. You can kind of see some of the uneven edges on the roof.
Okay, Lori.
That's my point in submitting this poor picture.
Lori, I need to stop you right here. You'll have some more time later, but I need to stop you now. Your 5 minutes are up. So
I
Ray.
have my last question, one sentence. Can I repeat? Can I
Sure.
just finish that one last sentence?
Sure.
Yeah, done to the culvert and the demolition of the 220 Pintail Lane, causing a large, swampy, mosquito-infested ditch, which lasts for many weeks after any rain. So
Okay.
that's my last one. So I'll stop.
Yeah, okay. So Ray, you have 2 minutes for cross-examination and 5 minutes. I'm gonna give you 7 on the timer.
Hey, Lori?
Yes.
Lori, if your house isn't worth 228, what's it worth?
Okay, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Okay, I'll move
I can
over.
hear the other gentlemen, other people very clearly, but I'm not hearing you.
Okay, hey, Lori, how about now?
That's better.
If your house isn't worth 228, what's it worth?
I suggested 10% increase, which was 180,000. I included that and then have it written down here on my closing notes, which I'll get to.
Are you, but that 10% increase is based on a homestead that you don't have, right?
We have a homestead as of January 21. The office is not open January. We got in as soon as we could after that.
Okay, but the homestead was removed. You had the option to keep the homestead and deal with the continuance or remove it. You guys chose to remove it, which means you didn't have to deal with the continuance, which meant you had more flexibility in the rebuild, and then you reapplied the homestead later. And you operated within the property tax code perfectly. You just made the decision to remove it. Whereas some people didn't make the decision to remove it and ended up being penalized for not rebuilding. So, I mean, you were just, you just made a decision, right?
Well, and you make the best decisions you can.
Yeah, sure, you made, right. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go into my evidence. So this is a house on Pintail, right? Are we on Pintail? We're on Pintail. So go to Picto.
219 Pintail Lane.
Yes, ma'am. Go to the regular Picto, Jackie. So it's this house right here. Zoom out a little bit so that people can kind of see. That's the lake. That's Salt Lake. Am I saying?
Yes. No.
That's Pintail. Pintail does a little dog leg right there, and they're kind of out on the end. Coconut Cove. Okay, so we've got some sales. Oh, we're not doing Q1, we're doing Q2. Q2 and other. So we'll go straight to equity. Go ahead, Jackie, just go run to equity. And let's see what we got in this grid. Equity grid, we've got Coconut Cove Road, 4 FB, 1,000 square feet. Sagebrush Drive, 4 FB, 1,200 square feet on 1,000 square foot. Subject given a value of 210 and 234 when it, subtracts and adds for good and bad. This house, the subject is fairly plain. It's got an MA, a porch, and I guess a carport. And then some of these other homes have additional garages and decks and stuff. All right.
Not on the property, no, sir.
So comp number 3 is a 4 FB, 1,400 square feet. Comp number 4 is a 4 FB, 1,200 square feet. All of it says that we're high on the house by $6,000. That's what it says. It should be 222. We're at 228. That's all well, how much time do I have?
You have 3 minutes left.
Jackie, I want to see 121 redhead. I just want to take a look at this comp. It's her comp. It's in one. It was the first comp in her evidence. I want to see it on picked up.
Okay.
It didn't have the CAD number.
I believe it's 16186 if my notes were correct. Probably not.
Is that it?
I don't think so. Hold on.
That is not it.
Nope, that must be the second comp. Hold on. Yeah, it's 16171.
I just want to see it. Let me see. That place right there. Sold for $259.
Where's her house in relation to that?
She's on Pintel, which is
This is turned around, so she's down to the south.
that one. Okay.
She's
Okay,
here.
yeah, she's right here. She's here. This house sold here for $259. Our grid says that her house is worth $222. That one sold for $259. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right.
Okay, you finished, Ray?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, then Laura, you have 2 minutes for cross-examination and 2 minutes for rebuttal. So I'll give you 4 minutes on the timer.
Okay, so just to clarify on the information that you were talking about, basically, you had mentioned 222 would be the valuation, like we were 6,000 off. Can you explain? It was hard to understand with everyone talking.
Okay. Yeah. The on the equity, proving equity, what we found was that when we compare your house to other 4s, and we try to keep the square footage, pretty close. I think we may have strayed 200 or 300 square feet on one of the comps. What we're trying to prove is, are we overvaluing your house within our software? And the answer is yes. That compared out to other comps and their land values, when you make the comparison, we're $6,000 high on your house compared to similarly adjusted properties.
Okay, and when a home has 2 lots, as in the one that I referenced on Coconut Lane, 125 and 127, is that not taken into consideration in this valuation?
That was your comp, not mine.
But the answer is yes, you would take that into
But
Yeah, I mean-
So that's submitted.
Yeah, you submitted that comp. I haven't even looked at it. The answer is that land value is on its own table and its own particular land table, and it builds value on that table by square footage. So the more square foot you have, the
So the answer is yes.
more possible land value you have.
Right, so that makes sense. So like for instance, our other 2 lots are not included in our homestead at this point. there's a separate valuation then which would compare to this value then that I referenced on the evidence. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Basically that should be taken into consideration with this when you have a home that sells with 2 lots. Is what I'm understanding what you're saying. I just want to make sure that I'm hearing you.
You own the lot next door?
We do, and that's not included in this protest.
Okay. Okay. So one of the things that's a little bit.
Why would there be such a variation in square foot when you have a lot, the lot is not included? Because I did see one similar in your evidence also that had 2 lots, kind of a similar situation.
It is taken into account.
Which I'm sure you're familiar with your evidence that you have on there, the one with 2 lots. But nonetheless, that's a critical piece, I think, just to make sure, when you're looking at valuation and price per square, if you've got 2 lots to 1, that's just, in a sense, make a huge difference in what that valuation and what, the whole taxable stuff should be.
Yeah, and like on comp number 4, because it is larger than yours in the equity grid, we're removing $70,000 from that lot, and it's just it's a third. So the grids are going to make those adjustments for value like that. But the reason that it's not easy to answer your question is because there's all different types of land. There's all different kinds of waterfront. There's all kinds of different.
Absolutely true, but that's why I'm just saying, when you're looking at a square foot and you've got basically you've got the total square foot of the house, it's going to affect your price per square foot when you have 2 lots. And that's something I'm not seeing in any of the evidence that you had presented or even in this, MLS information. It would affect the price per square foot, which would affect the valuation. And that's the thing that I think is critical to consider. When you're comparing my house to, to be a similar value. The square foot there is going to be 107.8750 if you take that 1 lot off of it.
Okay, we need to move on.
My house should be being, when I have 1 lot, 1 house, my square foot, price per square foot should be similar. And I'm not sure what your system is, but it does take that into account. It does not appear to be taking that into account. And I know my time's up.
The appraisal district does take into account the difference in the size of the land.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's,
Is she referring to a lot next
yeah,
door?
and
No, she's saying one of the counts.
on the equity grid information that the district
county
sent
size.
you,
Issue.
there are adjustments made between your property and the comps. And those adjustments are intended to cause the comp as compared to your property to be equalized. So for example, if one of the comps has more land area, then there is value taken out of that comp's calculation to account for the difference in size in the land area. Similarly, other elements associated with the improvements, like differences in square footage in the house, whether one has a garage or one has a carport or one, whatever, all of those types of differences are accounted for to either add or subtract value to the comp to make it a comparable, or to make it so that you can compare the comp to your property.
And that's what I assumed, which you never assumed, but would expect, to be the case.
Yes.
But I did note in the information that the evidence you had given in your packet, that it did not appear to be a variance when you have a 2 lot sale.
Okay, so we need to move on here. So Ray, you have 2 minutes if you need it. Okay, let's go to closing. Ma'am, you have 1 minute to close. Any final thoughts you want to tell us?
I do have a closing note set up. Here is my closing note. We did expect the value to increase, but a 39% increase in value from the year prior and 25% projected tax increase places excessive burden on homeowners committed to the success of this community. Asking for fair consideration as a homeowner of a homesteaded property, noting the poor condition of the home across the street, the recent count sale information that I've submitted, and we are asking that the total valuation be changed to $180,686 land and improvement, which is a 10% increase.
Okay, thank you for that. Ray, you've got 1 minute to close.
222.
Okay, all right. 222. Okay, now it's our time. Yeah, I'm there at the 222, 220.
I think we need to go to, just so she understands, to the value that was placed on equity.
Yes.
Protesting. That number was 222, 223.
Yeah. So
222, 220.
223.
We have to know that we can't deal with it.
yes. Okay. So I'm going to make a motion then on account number or case ID 2021-1933, account number 15912, when considering Q2 equity value or Q5 other, the discussion on the homestead, that we lower the 2021 appraised value from $228,130 to $222,220 based on the equity grid provided by the appraisal district.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Lauren.
Case number 1194.
Thank you.
Where do I get the appeal and disturbing information? I could not hear that.
They're gonna send, you will get something in the mail shortly.
Okay. It'll be emailed, correct?
I think it goes through regular mail, is it?
Yes, regular.
Yeah, regular mail.
Okay, because everything's been being sent to my email, which is what I really prefer.
We have to
Yeah, this information has to go through the mail. Since it has,
Okay, and I would expect that to be received when? It'll be mailed out like this week, next week?
yeah, it'll be mailed tomorrow, so,
Okay,
in a day or two.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Be right back.
1194.
Live in person.
Live in person.
I get more money today, don't I, for all of my injections?
No, actually, you get a deduction.
A deduction,
A
okay.
deduction because it's already 4:45.
I did lie.
And you are
Fastest Scott
responsible.
time.
And you are responsible for running over 4:30.
Okay.
So.
1194, is that what I heard?
There'll be a deduction in your.
Oh.
That's helpful.
Huh?
Cool.
Right on the other side of the door. we have no
Case
setup.
number 1294.
Yesterday.
Howdy.
It isn't.
Let's see, we have Peter
Yes, sir.
and
Anna.
Anna.
Yeah, you can forget that first name you see on there. If my first name's even on there, but
No, it's
no,
not.
okay.
No, but I dig the last name. That's very cool.
Okay, we have some administrivia to go through. If you just follow along with me, I'll ask some questions along the way. We're opening a hearing on case number 2021-1194. account 19486. This hearing is being recorded. Robert?
Under protest is Q1 and Q2.
Got it right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We're the appraisal review board that will be hearing your protest today. We do not work for the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of your protest. The board sits around the table. Ray is the representative from the appraisal district. At the end of the hearing, you may complete a survey regarding your experience. The survey may be completed using the survey form and emailed to ptad.communications@cpa.texas.gov or online at survey.com/r/survey-ARB. Survey is voluntary. You also have the right to appeal our decision. Appeal information will be provided to you with our determination. In accordance with Tax Code Section 4145H, all written material that has not been provided must be provided at this time. This is important. Have you submitted all your evidence?
I did, along with my protest, I submitted a non-biased appraisal that I had done on the home.
Okay, so we have it all.
Yes.
Very good, thank you. ARB members who are considering the protest have not communicated with anyone about the protest and are signing an affidavit to that effect. I, Charles Powers, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Robert Dayton, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Captain Kaufman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66.
I, Bill Duck, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Scott Waggart, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
All testimony from all witnesses must be given under oath. That's your cue.
I, Pete Hernandez, do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony I shall present to the appraisal review board is true and correct.
I, Anna Reed, do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony I shall present to the appraisal review board is true and correct.
I have to ask you, either of you have a license to be an appraiser in the state of Texas? Okay. The governor? Maybe yes to that.
That's no problem. The answer is no.
Don't forget, Ray.
You have don't forget Ray.
I didn't say anything.
No.
I requested you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony I shall present to the review board is true and correct.
The sheet you have right there in front of you,
This one?
that one, is how we're going to proceed through the hearing. That's how we're going to manage the time. And you get to choose whether you go first or the district goes first.
District.
Okay, Ray, you're on.
Okay. So this property is on Fulton Avenue. You zoom out a little bit. Maybe one time, Jeff, you said that you can compare and see where we're at here. It's that house right there with the blue box around it. Anyways, that's where it's at.
That'd be the lighthouse in.
The lighthouse is
Right.
across there, yeah. That's right. Fulton Avenue kind of winds around. It has a little curve right there. And, that's it, yeah. All right. Sorry, did y'all say Q1, Q2 on this?
Yes.
Let's take a look. We have a value of 403,711. And we've already looked at the PICO. Let's look at the sales grid here. So we're at 208 Fulton Avenue. There's a sale at 112 Fulton Avenue in July 2020. Sold for $315. It is about the same size, but a little bit older, a little bit smaller, but like 100 square feet or so. And doesn't have all of the porches and stuff, or not as much porch area. They're just out to 380. It's sell on Laurel November 2020 in Fulton. About the same size, a little lower class. It's not on stilts, it's just a one-story home. Sold for $251 and adjusted out to $394. We've got cell number 3 is on Fulton Avenue in March of 2021. It sold for $243. Better class and a little bit larger. Adjust out to $389, and the adjustments are mostly in the contributory items, just not having the CPU and just different things, not having porches and stuff that doesn't have those kind of things. Creates an adjustment, adjust out to $389. The median value is $389,747. Of equity, these are not sales, they are just they can be a sale, but really it's just a study of, similar places properly adjusted. So we've got a class 5 and a class 5, the subject to class 5. The first comp is 1,900 square feet, which is larger. The second comp is 1,450, which is a little bit smaller. That's some adjustments. One of them adjusts out to 406, the other one adjusts out to 382. Comp number 3 on 3rd Street is also a 5, 1,500 square feet, a little bit older, adjusts out to 394. I would say the best comp in this little set is probably comp 3 on 3rd Street. All of these homes have the feature of being a piling house in the equity bid. It gives a value of 394, which is less than the 404 that we noticed at. The sales approach at 389 is also less than the 404 that we noticed at. So let's see which one is lower. So our opinion of value is 389. That's it.
Okay. All right, so you have 2 minutes for cross-examination and then 5 minutes for your presentation.
Well, I'm not very, don't have a lot of experience in this arena, but the one comp that was the same price, I was curious, the one that was on 503 Fulton, we were, and I'm not very clear on the indicated, the median value, and who comes up with these numbers, but they were the same. But I know that property sold for 243, so I don't know how these taxes are being affected by those numbers when in reality that property sold in the heat of, right now it's a seller's market, buyer's market, seller's market. That property sold for 243, so I don't know where this 389 is coming from. But also, when I look at the tax records, my brain doesn't understand it. If I look back on their tax records at these prices, why are their taxes at like 3,200 and mine were at 6,600? I don't know where those numbers are. Where's the difference coming up?
You have to check the account. It could be that they were home sale for 65. Possible that they were frozen. That's just a possibility.
Okay.
Greg, can you quickly explain to the protesters here how you
it's
make the
comparing
adjustments?
it's comparing you to this. It's just software comparing your stuff to their stuff, and where theirs is better, it's removing value, and where theirs is worse, it's adding value. It's that's just how comps are done. So
Even home
it doesn't have this.
They've been homestead since 60.
Over 65.
No, just homestead.
That should be.
Yeah.
But that's what it's doing. It's just you have this, and this one doesn't. Subtract this, subtract that. Like if you look at it there, it's going to subtract right away. Like one of the things it's going to do is there's an age difference. This one's older, so this one's older, so it's adding value to the newer. That's just what it's doing. There's a little bit of difference in class, so it's adding. Like for example, it's subtracting this value right here. Yours doesn't have that MA2. That's all that stuff, and then it spits out what it would be for your stuff.
Some of the additions and subtractions that, on similar comps that I don't really agree with, and I don't think they're factored in is, I started my home beginning of 17, and some of the other comps, with the years, the newness is the same, because I know for a fact that those houses, they've been redone from roof to floor. So as far as newness, it doesn't matter, mine's 17 and the other one says 2010 or something, because they're just as new as I am. I know a couple of these people and they've got new roofs, sheetrock, wiring, plumbing, flooring. It's just new in my house, so I don't know how much that is
Well,
taking.
they would have a different opinion than you do about that.
As far as newness and material, but we pretty much started at the same time. Finish up.
Yeah.
My house sat and dried, just drying stage with just broken windows and studs, from after Harvey for 9 months. And then as far as the finish out, it's just as new as some of these other comps. So, so right now though, I'm getting bumped down from like over 4 to 3 something.
Well, what we're saying, I'm just, like, right now, I was just presenting evidence.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that, I don't know what that number was, but
389.
389 is what the market approach to value produces.
And I didn't know if I had to refi the house, so I don't know if part of the refi, I had to have a house appraised by an appraiser, and I submitted that. And, yeah, I feel like it is a little bit low. He came in at 275, but, and of course that is low, but, I'm still trying to learn about this stuff, but as far as like a cost approach on this, when I took out a construction note for this house, I took out a loan from RBFCU that I can show, for 239, I paid 65 for the lot, so I'm at 347. So I'm sorry, 304. I'm at 304 for cost approach, and it's nothing but a hardy and stick building. I made it gold, and coming up with over 4, it doesn't make sense.
I have questions, but I can ask them, but you're really in your time.
Yeah. I really don't know how what more to say about how to dispute this. It's just I feel like it's the taxes are high. The thing that just doesn't make sense to me is that like last year I was at 367 and my taxes were 6631. I did dispute those and I wasn't able to make it here on time because of the hurricane. We had our grandson and the mother wanted the child back up in New Braunfels. And when we went up there to bring the child back, unfortunately, we had a battery failure on our vehicle. We couldn't make it back in time. So I wasn't able to get my settlement of like 57 versus the 66 I paid. So I ended up paying that in 2020. And then so I don't see what has really changed from 2020 from 367 to 404, and my taxes went from a possible $5,700 I could have paid if I would have been able to make it to 7,300. I feel like I'm being taxed out of my own home. This is my homestead.
Yeah. I'll talk with this later.
But just a couple things just don't make sense. Like I know that the lot directly across from me, it's a big lot, and there's 2 structures with the total square footage equals 2,200 square feet. It's a VRBO. I don't know if this really has any bearing on anything, but it's an individual that lives in Austin. It's a young individual, and the guy's making. I live across the street. I know what he charges. The guy's pulling in $8,000 a month. It's always rented out. The guy doesn't live here, and I'm looking at his taxes, and it seems like he pays like $3,000 a year in taxes. And he's a non-resident, just, pulling in money hand over fist.
He should be paying an additional tax for BPP.
If he is, I don't know if that's public.
Should be.
Well, when I pull up his record, it's
unfortunate.
He's paying nothing.
It's unfortunate. It's worse for the hotel owners than it is for you though, because they're paying their taxes, and it's a problem.
I mean, I understand I have to pay taxes. It's part of life, I just feel like it's not making sense to me how it's just nothing's changed. It just keeps going up. I don't want to get good at having to do this.
I have to. So it'll be my.
That's
time.
why he brought me on his training. So.
We
can trade off years or something, I guess.
We actually did buy another piece of property, and so I said, "Come with." So we might have to get trained on.
You're really good at this.
Yeah.
Turning the pros.
Okay, Ray, you have 2 minutes for cross-examination and 2 minutes for rebuttal.
When you took out that loan for construction, did you hire a contractor?
Yes.
And is that just what you ended up paying total, 340 or whatever, 305?
239.
239 plus the land, so you ended up like a little over 300 in it. And we're ending up at 388 a couple of years later, in a pretty hot market. So in theory, you would build a house and be able to sell it and make a little bit of money. In theory, that's what people are doing. So the 305 versus 388 might actually be pretty legitimate in today's world. Contractor wanting to make some money. I mean, it's not unheard of. Lots of contractors are building a house and making $50,000 a pop. It's a good place to be a contractor. We raised your value though because we raised Fulton a lot. So Fulton's whatever. Fulton's Fulton. We raised the value on 500 people. 500 properties. As far as this appraisal, I don't want to say this appraisal accomplished a purpose and you probably refinanced. But there's things in this appraisal that are not good. There's some statements in here about it being there not being very many comps to choose from. No. Him not using comps in your immediate area, but deciding to pull comps from Little Bay and Captain's Bay, I think. It's hard for me to understand that. Other than it's a refinance and there's a goal in mind and that goal is accomplished right here. I don't think that your house is worth 275. No. So, and I hate that that's what his opinion of value is, because it makes me feel like if it would have been done very well, and he would have came in and said, "Hey, this house is worth 360," then I would have been like, "Ooh, he could be right." But when he comes in and says his house is worth 275, it makes me feel like, give it to some kids and let them color it or something. I don't get it.
I agree.
So that's frustrating. I hate that. Again, I'm going to sit at 388. And we're going to hit it over to these guys. So.
That's it? Okay. Now you have 2 minutes for rebuttal and then we'll go to closing.
I don't have a whole lot to rebuttal on that, except that I do agree, the comps that you sent over, they were more in line, but I just still feel like the house kind of nailed it on the head. It's more like in the 360 mark. I don't see, I don't really understand what happened between last year and this year. I can see something like in my mind, like a $20,000 increase or something like that. The value, not $60,000. And I do believe I do have my homestead. Don't I apply to?
Yeah.
You do. Yes. You show one.
Then when by chance am I able to do like is it 55? It's 65 that you qualify for tax relief.
Dang it, you got a little way to go. You were almost there when you thought 55. We just had it 10 more years.
Okay, anything else? Okay. Ray, you need it, a minute to close?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any final thoughts? Okay, you don't have to go.
The district is showing 388. 740 is
749. Yeah, I agree.
Great. Great investment.
Yeah.
Especially if you like to be
Then
in the thick of things
on
during
sales
in the thick of, I mean,
cost. They don't value houses on cost.
Okay.
So I'm gonna make a motion then on case ID 2021-1194, account number 19486. When considering incorrect appraised market value, Q2 appraisal ratio exceeds the median level of appraisal or equity value, that we lower the 2021 appraised value from $404,090 to $389,740.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Okay. You're done?
Does that mean no as far as paying taxes?
This is just the appraisal. After the.
You know, something interesting about that is that thing at the bottom of your notice where it says this is your estimated tax. Next year, that won't be on the notice because it is very confusing. Because it's such an estimate. There's no new tax rate yet. It's very confusing, you know, and so that's purposely being removed. Just for this reason. Nobody in here knows. We don't know. None of us know.
After the rules are certified, there's a tax levy, the school district and so on, will take and figure out what is the rate going to be, which may go up, may go down. You don't know. We don't know.
The fact that you're homesteading will limit the rates. Taxes to 10%.
Motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.